If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hey, this is The Thing About Cars. I am your host for this week, Ben. Our usual El Capitan Micky is MIA. I think he's on the West Coast having the time of his life and eating burritos the size of his forearm. It's just a small crew today. It's just me and Misty. How are you?
Once again, moist. It is spring in the Netherlands. Sorry about that.
And Dave, how are you?
I'm excited to be part of this menage a Miklas.
For a second there, I thought you were starting to say misogynist.
And then there were going to be issues.
Yeah, I'm not picking that fight with Misty today.
That's
Probably
why you're my
was.
favorite, Dave. You're so smart.
Probably a wise choice. But a fight you can pick is with Grand Trivia Auto because I believe, Dave, you've got the question, right?
Yes. So the question is, so let me a little bit of the source of this. The term pony car was being bandied around this weekend, and I found myself actually in a discussion of what qualifies a car as a pony car versus a muscle car. So the possible options are. So the question is, what makes a pony car versus a muscle car? Is the answer A, the size of the engine, B, the number of passengers it can carry, or C, the open mouth styling of the front of the car?
Huh. This ought to be
Indeed.
good. Well, we'll ponder that one, and as usual, we'll figure it out at the end.
Yeah. Oh, my brain cells are ticking. All 2 1/4 of them.
Yeah. Well, we don't really have we definitely don't have a guest today. We don't even
have a host.
Right. Well, we don't have much anything today, but before we hit record, we were kind of bantering a little bit about auto shows.
Auto shows.
Which are, big thing that happen every year, spring, summer, that kind of thing, in anticipation of next year's releases. They happen all around the world. There's big ones, there's little ones. And of course, we're all drooling over the idea that maybe, just maybe, if all the stars aligned and everything came out just right, we could maybe do an episode from the Paris Auto Show next year. How much fun would that be?
I think that would be an incredible amount of fun. And the point is, though, is you don't actually have to fly into Paris, because if you fly in to Amsterdam, if we play our cards right, it's roughly €70 round trip to take the high-speed train, from Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Schiphol to Paris. And it's about a 3.5-hour trip each way, but it's a train trip, which is fun. And you wouldn't have to deal with Charles de Gaulle.
3.5 hours in a train, that's plenty of time to get good and liquored up.
The incoming. We have a Tim.
Uh-oh.
So now we're a quartet. Yes.
Hello.
It's a Tim. It's a wild Tim.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim has entered the building.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Whoop, whoop. We just decided, since our host was MIA, we would just kind of go off on a tangent and talk about auto shows today.
And we already did trivia without you, so
yeah.
We'll catch you up on the trivia at the end. The discussion of the auto shows is actually us going to the Paris Auto Show to record The Thing About Cars in October of 24. And Misty was just advocating that we actually fly into Amsterdam, which, does not necessarily put you in the right frame of mind for Paris, because flying into Amsterdam Schiphol is a relatively pleasant experience. Whereas, on the other hand, I believe hell borrows its design from Charles de Gaulle Airport.
I'm going to step in and give a point in Charles de Gaulle favor. Because the last time that I actually went through Charles de Gaulle, I was with my son, who was 10, and at the time you could go onto their website input your departure destination, your arrival destination with Charles de Gaulle as a stop, and you could print out a map that would show you how to make that connection. So you have to give them a point for that.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking that, that's an airport that I have not been to, but the two worst ones I have been through, neither one has anything like that. This is kind of a common point they shared, and those two were the old LaGuardia and LAX. Both of which, if you have to change flights, chances are you have to go to a different terminal. And in neither case was there anything telling you how to get there. In fact, at LAX, the only way I knew how to get to where my flight was to ask somebody. There wasn't even any sign on the door you have to go through to get to the bus to get over to that other terminal.
Sounds like Frankfurt. Frankfurt is a horrible airport. I hate that place with the heat of 1,000 suns.
And the old LaGuardia had a problem with, like a gates that had letters and numbers, but the letter did not correspond to the letter of the terminal the gate was in.
Great. Yeah.
Which is something that I'm surprised Paris has not thought of.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you can print out this map of Charles de Gaulle Airport, then that hopefully they also show you the locations of the Air France employees who are periodically, when you ask them, will say, this is not possible.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought that was the Dutch people. I don't know. That can't happen.
Okay, who else can we offend?
A lot of cultures, I think, do that. But as long as they can get us to the cars.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, it's, round trip, you have to plan it right. It can be more expensive depending on, how you plan your trip, just like with any other, communal transportation option. You can leave from Schiphol or Amsterdam Centraal, and it's about a 3.5 hour train trip, and it can run €35 each way. Maybe a little more because now inflation, but it's the Thalys. You actually get to see some of the countryside versus sitting in a tin can.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
And it is environmentally friendlier than, an airplane, and because they're talking here about really raising costs for flights, especially the longer distance ones. So I'm like, okay, fine, we'll just use the train.
Yeah.
Because they're also really starting that move here to, at least in the Netherlands, we power the majority of our trains with sustainable energy, mainly wind. Speaking of the Netherlands, and they are now complaining about too many electric cars because they're not getting the tax revenue they expected from gasoline.
Yeah. So so you just need a higher tax on electricity.
It's just failure to plan on their part, No,
it's a constant theme in the Netherlands. So, my thought was, why don't you raise the road tax on electric cars instead of electricity? Because if you raise it on electricity, then everybody gets to bear the burden of that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've seen that even here in the U.S., I've seen that there have been states who've been going like, hey, we need to start coming up with a tax for EV charging stations to supplement that income.
Well, and some years ago, right here in Georgia, we went from being probably the most EV friendly state to being the least overnight with this one law that put a $200 registration surcharge on them for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, you got to pay for the road somehow, but
yes, you do. But I don't think that was a good way of going about it.
Yeah. Well, it does make sense. If you think of what you're probably paying in taxes for a year for whatever gasoline powered vehicle
but it was not based on use. You paid the same $200 whether you drove that EV 1 mile or 100,000 miles. It was pretty unfairly set up. I think it was not I think it was well thought out in that there was a subtle what's the word I'm looking for? I got a little stammer there. A subtle way of discouraging EVs. So
I don't know. It's like I said, you're still paying that tax on a gasoline vehicle, just in little increments.
Yes, you are, but you're paying it based on the amount you use it.
Well, yeah. So you could. The other way would be you'd have to, send in a certified odometer reading every year with your tax statement to show that I only drove it 300 miles this year instead of 30,000, and tax me accordingly.
Well, who was it that said, actually like put the tax on the charging stations? I'm already paying the tax at the pump, so what would be the difference? I'm still filling my car up. It's just, a different way of filling my car up.
Right. And for all those who charge up at home, then you left that part out of. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
And if you charge, if you do charge at home off of your, roof installed solar panels, which you probably don't, but well,
right. I think it'll all get. Yeah, the whole thing is still in such a technological infancy that I think it'll get figured out. It may be a little slow and awkward, but I think we'll get there.
Yeah, it's true.
Never underestimate the ability of governments to find new and innovative ways to tax.
Amen, brother. Right. Amen, brother. We were just sitting here going, I think somebody said the reason the Netherlands, has so much rain, it's not actually where we're located. It's that the government would tax us, if we had more sunshine.
So thinking about car shows again, these big, new car shows, has anybody been to one?
Wow.
I haven't. I wanted to go for the weekend of my birthday.
You mean like where they do actual product launches, etc.?
Well, I was going to say, because the big ones you read about in magazines, I would have been surprised if any of us had been to any of those. But I've been to some little ones.
I mean, I've been to the ones that they had at the Georgia World Congress Center.
Yeah,
back in the 80s. Yeah,
I went to one about 5 years ago, I think, and I believe they're still holding that one. We need to be out there one of these years if they'll have us. But I went to the coolest little tiny car show. It was like the big international ones, but it was really tiny. Way back in the 1980s, they had one in Birmingham, Alabama. At Beltwell Auditorium, a really old place where you could go for cheap rock concerts and such. And, of course, they had all the new cars there, but they actually had a couple of the concept cars as well. There was a bright red one from Buick, and I'm at a loss to remember the name of it, but I was like, whoa, I'd never seen a real concept car before. I was like, wow, that is so cool. I just kind of hung by the thing for about 30 minutes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if one of the ones that I went to had the actual Dodge, the Wraith or whatever it was actually called in Dodge speak back then. That it was in the one was in the movie The Wraith.
The one that I was most familiar with, the Detroit Auto Show.
Oh yeah,
and that was because when I was working at Delta, we had a big hub in Detroit, and right, one of the last things I did before leaving was launching an automotive transport product. It's called that. You can ship cars on airplanes, on larger airplanes, and my last gig was to get so many expensive cars into Detroit, and because as the marketing guy, I also oversaw customer claims. I was just sitting there terrified that you have a Bentley or a Rolls Royce or a Lambo out on the airport ramp. Things tend to get blown around on ramps. Rocks and pets and wrenches, and I white knuckled my way through the entire 2 weeks leading up to that show. That somebody was going to drive a baggage cart into the side of a Lamborghini.
Right.
I think that's a very valid fear.
Yeah.
I just really did a quick check, and it's the Mondial de la Mobilité. It's the Paris Motor Show, and it's only every 2 years. So 2024 is the next one. And actually, Tim, write this down and I'll ping you the answer. This could be the trivia question for next week. When did the Mondial de la Mobilité start? What was the first year?
Okay.
Very long time ago.
Yes.
Dave, look young.
Back when there were more electric cars than gasoline-powered cars.
I do believe so. So, yeah, but I mean, guys, I'm being serious. I mean, we've been doing this together for how long?
A while.
7,000 years.
It's been 84 years. And we've still, yet to meet face to face.
Right.
I haven't been able to give any of you guys a hug, and that is really sad for me because I'm a huggy type person. So then we combine, allowing me to show some of y'all around Amsterdam to some of the places that you may or may not No, except for Dave, who knows all the bad places. There's no denial, and
everyone needs a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Don't be so
well,
negative.
Last episode of Ted Lasso, they went to two of the characters went to the red light district, but not for reasons you would expect.
Yeah. Interesting. I probably do need to watch that show, and then we can, so it's a plane for y'all to get here, and then we take a train to go see the automobiles. So then it's planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh, great.
Sounds good.
Those aren't pillows.
And then we get to have fun, and y'all get to laugh at me and my complete inability to speak French.
Well, it's better than mine.
I doubt that.
I've successfully ordered breakfast in Le Mans once.
So. Well, that's better than me.
I don't think anybody's French could be worse than mine.
So there we have, we have a competition. Who speaks the worst French? Dave's over here going, well, poo.
I will say that in Le Mans, they are very English friendly because it's a very tourist driven town. So
yeah. I thought the one and only time I was at Disneyland Paris, there were actually people going, why do you not speak French? You are in France. And I'm like, I'm in Disneyland. I speak mouse. Come on. Whatever. So
I've never been to France in my life, so it would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
It is lovely. I've
never been to the Netherlands either.
There you go.
It's Ben goes abroad.
Yeah.
It would be absolutely amazing. We'd have so much fun. Admittedly, some of us may have citizenship taken away, but it'd be a lot of fun. Because when I took Dutch citizenship, I did swear that I was not a danger to public order or safety.
Oh, that's
still not sure.
You had your fingers crossed behind your back.
Still not sure how I got through that one with a straight face.
Yeah, that really is perjury.
I know.
Right. Yeah.
I know. Still not sure how I got through that one with a straight face, but I did. But apparently, it's what happens when government falls. They just let anybody in the country.
Right. We need your tax revenue, please. Come on in.
They already had that. They've already had that. But when I applied for my citizenship, we actually didn't have a functioning government. We just had a demissionary. The cabinet had fallen. We hadn't had elections yet. So we just basically had a caretaker government. And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, here, have citizenship." And I was like, "Cool, thanks."
Nice. So when we go to the car show, which manufacturer's stand are we going to get kicked off of first?
Probably Lotus.
Yeah. From the fanboy leg humping from Ben.
And me.
No, well, Misty, you'll be on the McLaren stand.
Well, no, because actually, my dream car, and this was from the very first time I was on this podcast. My dream car is a Lotus Elise.
Okay.
So McLaren, that's more my Formula One. But not to say that I find it a bad car, but I think Ben and I will be very politely asked to leave the Lotus stand.
Well, I can tell you this: there won't be an Elise there.
I know.
Yeah, it's out of production.
I know. I'm super sad. Thanks for reminding me, Ben.
Yeah, sorry about that. But that said, since it is, a big, huge international hot dang motor show, they may have a new model to show us. And I'm not saying I know anything. Well, no, the only thing I know is that they have hinted that there are some more models coming. Ooh. So, yes.
So this is... I'm foreshadowing here. That's
yeah. I feel like we could get at least 2, if not 3 episodes out of like one Paris Auto Show.
Oh, sure.
If not like a whole month's worth of episodes.
The electric successor to the Elise might be there.
Yeah.
I think we can get more than 3 episodes. I mean, all of us together in Paris sounds like the makings of an international incident.
and at least a whole season. Yeah, if they have the electric successor to the Elise, Ben, you and I are certainly being asked to leave that stand.
Especially if I fit in it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Let's see, where else would each of us be kicked off of out of a particular stand?
Who?
I don't know.
Well, since he's not here, I'll jab on Micky a little here. I think he'll be kicked off of the Maserati stand.
Yeah.
Because he's always talking about how he wants one.
That very good point. Please don't drool on the Maserati. Oh, look, it's a show title.
Yeah. I would get kicked off the probably the Ferrari stand if it didn't already have that big, cordoned off fencing around it to keep a slowly normal people. Yes.
Dave, what about you? Where would they be like? Okay.
I'm looking through everyone who exhibited last year. Probably the Bentley. The Bentley stand. Actually, no, let's be honest. I'll be obnoxious as hell at the Volkswagen or the Volvo stand. So I might get, smacked off of a stand.
Yeah.
But I think, that Bentley and Aston Martin tend to capture my attention, especially because it's so rare to see them here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Although I've been seeing a lot more Aston Martins lately. Maybe I just live on the good part of town. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. You just. I tell you what, Dave. If you get escorted off of the Volkswagen stand for asking why they discontinued the sausage in the canteen,
that will be it. It'll be over a currywurst joke.
I mean, right. I will 100% fund your cider and escargot for the rest of the day.
Careful what you offer. I can eat a hell of a lot of escargot.
Same. We'll just be like, we'll be like, but it has to have the crusty bread, to soak up the butter, and and if we eat it, everyone has to eat it because it's a community meal. There's that much garlic.
Right. Yeah. So you have to be on the same playing field.
Yeah.
I put away my fair share of it years ago when I was stationed in Germany. One of the guys who I was out with that night tried to trick me into it, thinking I didn't know what he was ordering. Of course, they call it Schnecken in Germany.
Yeah.
But he suggested I order the Schnecke, and he thought I wouldn't know what it was. And I'd seen him order it before. Of course, I knew what it was, and it was delicious. And I ate a lot of it when I was there. So yes, count me in for this, please.
Yeah, so I think I will get thrown off, and then we will summarily get corrected for eating escargot in someone's Peugeot.
Yeah. Pretty much.
With a little spritzing of Citroen on top.
Yes.
Oh.
Thanks. I'm here always.
So this is what happens when Micky is not here.
Right. And the inmates run the asylum.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of Schnicken, as I said yesterday, we went to do grocery shopping in Germany, and it's asparagus season, and I cannot help it. Anytime we drive there and we pass the sign, you cannot say the German name for asparagus in a calm manner because it has to be Spargel. I mean, you have to yell it. It's a very aggressive vegetable, and I'm like, why is this?
That's all of German.
Yeah, and also
the entire language was meant to be yelled.
Yeah, apparently.
A blitzkrieg of speech. Yes.
Yes.
No matter what it is, your love language still has to be yelled.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my first exposures to that aspect of German was years and years and years ago when I was just a wee little lad. Well, maybe not. Well, those of you who see me in person know that I was never wee. But anyway, no, I was in probably middle school somewhere reading one of my dad's road and tracks, and there was an ad in the back. And the ad had this word about a mile long across the top of the ad. It said, steinschlagschutzhulle, which took me about a week to sound out and figure out. But steinschlagschutzhulle. That sounds pretty angry. And what it is, that literally means protector against stones. It was an ad for a car bra for Porsches.
Nice.
It was a automotive lingerie ad.
Yeah. Now, for those of you listening who are significantly younger than us, back in the good old days of the 1980s, these things called car bras were all the rage. They were a black, usually vinyl thing that just strapped over the front end of your car. It covered the bumper and some of the grill surround and maybe around the headlights a little bit, had openings for all these functional bits. I don't know who invented them, but the idea was, to keep flying road debris from chipping the front of your car. And especially with the Porsche crowd, they were the hot deal for a few years there. They were a real fashion accessory.
Yes.
I get weird looks because I want to try to source some eyelashes for Claudette. See, I think, and everybody looks at me and goes, "You're weird." And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Next.
It's because of these car bras that the clear protective film designed to fit on the noses of cars today are referred to as clear bra.
Yeah. And they do a much better job of making the car still look beautiful while you're using the actual product, because bras made your car look ugly in an effort to keep it looking good for the future.
Right.
In that sense, car bras are in the same 1980s fashion category as parachute pants and leg warmers.
Right.
I'm just going to sit here and just laugh at, these men discussing bras. I'm just like, you've nailed it, whether it's for a car or for a woman. It's,
what car has the biggest cup size?
Right. That would be the 911 with the huge headlight.
Yeah, I was about to say the 911 with the honkers. God. This is what happens when Micky's
and then
not
the other downside of the bra was that the paint underneath it either didn't fade at the same rate as the rest of the car. So, or if you were bad about how tightly it was cinched down and did not wipe the water out from underneath it after a rainstorm, it would rub back and forth and mess up the paint that you're supposedly trying to protect in the first place with this monstrosity.
I'm sorry.
Same thing with Misty's bra.
Right.
I told someone the other day, I said a bra is like a man. You spend ages and ages trying to find one that, is really comfortable, really supportive, and makes you feel really good. And then after a few years, it, stabs you in the heart.
That's
because the underwire just kind of goes chink, and you're like, thank you. Yes. So there we go. So we have went from car shows to lingerie. Wow.
I think it's time to.
In our next segment, we'll talk about topless French models, featuring the Peugeot, the Citroën, and.
Yes. So, but are we agreed? Paris, October 2024.
Oh goodness, I sure want to.
Yes, that's it.
There is no try. There is only do.
Yeah.
Set our own Yoda.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, Ben. Power of positive thinking. I'm giving you 18 months.
18 months. Yeah. Well,
where will that put us in the Grand Prix season at the same time of that year?
It's October. Where are we going to be?
Okay. She will be in Japan.
Yeah.
That's never going to work.
There's just one more.
If I can wake up at 6 a.m., Tim.
No. As far as actually attending one, I'm hoping to get to Europe to watch a Grand Prix somewhere on the continent, or in that island nation just off to the west. No.
But let's certainly, let's start making plans for that one as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually, depending on the future of Spa, I'm actually starting to lean towards Austria.
Ah, okay.
So the weather may be nicer.
That's true.
And it's not that far of a drive.
Yeah.
Ah.
But Spa is just such an awesome track.
I know. And Spa is like, it's literally 2-3 hours from me.
Right.
That's the insanity. Spa is, I have to drive. I would have to have hotels. Zandvoort is 35 kilometers from my house, and it's literally cheaper for me to go to Spa than to Zandvoort.
Mostly from ticket pricing?
100% from ticket pricing.
Wow. Yeah.
So I have a complaint. I'll just call Willem-Alexander up, the King of the Netherlands, and go, dude, you and me, we need to have a talk. This is ridiculous. So have we nattered on enough about, have we nattered on from inanity to inanity, and, had a really good time though.
I guess. Yeah. If anybody's still listening at this point, dear listener, thank you so much.
I guess let's bring it back to the trivia question.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
So Tim, before you joined us, discussing a conversation that I found myself in yesterday about pony cars. And so the question is what distinguishes a pony car from A, muscle car? The possible answers are A, the size of the engine, B, the number of people that can ride in the car, number of passengers, or C, specifically the open mouth styling of the front of the car.
Wow. Okay.
Miss Misty, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I've been thinking about it. First, I thought it was the size of the engine, but then I realized that can't be it because ponies in real life pretty powerful. So I'm going to go with B, the number of passengers.
Okay. Ben, how about you?
Honestly, I don't like any of them, but based on some of the realities, I would say C is the only one that's even remotely plausible. Although in my mind, the answer is any of the ones that were a little bit smaller, trying to compete with the Mustang.
Right. I would say B when you say adult passengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 for B and 1 for open mouth styling. Well, according to the news wheel, the answer is A. That
We're just all wrong.
That muscle cars will always come with a V8 engine, whereas pony cars had more variety in engines. However, according to Wikipedia, the characteristics of a pony car were defined as a sporty, compact car for the masses that could carry 4 people and typically had a long hood, short deck profile, and open mouth styling.
So it was actually all of the above.
Right.
Kind of.
Or like B and C.
Yeah.
A number.
Right. Because if we go by engine size, well, Mustangs have been powered by 4-cylinder turbos, 6-cylinder with or without turbos, and V8s.
Yep.
You can back in the 80s, you could also get a Camaro with a 4-cylinder, which actually, right. I remember Dodge's marketing material for their front-wheel drive Charger 2.2, which I owned.
Jealous.
Yes. Well, no, that's touted that it was quicker 0 to 60 miles an hour than a similarly equipped Camaro was, because it was a lighter vehicle. So that's it. That was their big marketing campaign. Faster than a Camaro, and then with the asterisks set down at the bottom in fine print, when equipped with 4-cylinder motor.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. All right, gentlemen, it has been an honor and a pleasure. Ben, you want to take us out?
Well, yeah. I'm sure the one listener who's half asleep or half awake is just dying for us to cut it short here. Thank you, listener.
For the love of God, kill this show.
But yes, thank you all for listening to The Thing About Cars. We will see you at the Paris International Auto Show next year, I hope. And until then, please come back for our next one. It will be better, I swear.
Well, when we have our stuff together and we can watch that escargot.
Exactly. Love it. Y'all have a great week.
Y'all too.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.